What's up, Manifestation Queens? Coming at you with another solo episode. And today I want to talk about manifesting, consistency, and business, right? And the reason is because I got a message. I've been getting messages from people lately, and they have been saying to me, wow, you're so consistent on your social media, and you're so consistent with your podcasting or whatever it is. And I think it's really, really important to remember this. Manifestation is not wishing and hoping and wanting. Manifestation is a little bit of hustle or a lot of hustle and taking action to get what you want. That is the reality. Anybody that says to you, light your candle and sit down and journal what you want and write it out and it will all happen is a liar. Because it's not going to happen like that. You can write it down. You can get the manifestation box if you want and you can write it down. But if you don't do step 6, take action, well, then you've just wasted your money. And that is just the reality of it all, because you can write down all your lists and all your goals and you can visualize, but if you're not taking steps towards what you want, well, you're just dreaming. You're delulu. And you know, I love a delulu gal, but I love a delulu gal that takes action. So I want to talk to you about the business. And if you have your own business, and even if you don't have your own business or you want to start a business, whether it's a e-commerce business or a yoga business, even if it's not, you're still going to get lots of tips in this episode. So I got a message from somebody saying, are you going to do the move and manifest and mingle that I talked about in my podcast before? And in it, she said, I would love to be involved from a health and fitness perspective. And I know I don't have a big following, open bracket, yet. And I was like, I love that. Everything I say is I don't have X yet because it will happen. And then I looked at her page and she's like over 2,000 followers. And I said to her this, when I wanted to do a workshop at Wellfest, so Wellfest being the biggest fitness festival in Europe, right? I actually think it's the biggest one in Europe. Like, you've got Joe Wicks headlining it. Vogue Williams there last year. How many followers does Joe Wicks have? I don't know, a couple of million. Vogue Williams, 1.5 million, something like that. I'm not entirely sure. But back in 2022, when I was at Wellfest, I went around to all the talks, and then I was at the Well Mind tent and Jerry Hussey was speaking, and I've said this story before. I looked up and I was like, someday I'm going to be on that stage, and I visualized it. I didn't know when. I didn't know how, and when and how are not in the manifestation box, but I knew it's going to happen someday. So that year, Pause Penny was manifesting. Pause Penny was launching in the November of the 2022, and I reached out to Wellfest and I said, hey, can I get a stand at Wellfest and to sell my products? And they said, yeah. And then I was like, actually, I have an idea as well. I have this idea for a manifestation workshop. And effectively, what I would do is I would, go through the 7 steps, but people would do it real time with me. So they'd have their cards and they'd have the pen. I'd bring that myself. And I remember saying to the girl on the phone, but I know I only have I think at the time I had 1,200 followers. And I really had this limiting belief that your follower count is important and it's going to determine your success and what you get in terms of speaking gigs and all of that. So I kind of didn't have too much hopes for getting it, but I put it out there anyway. And she was like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about your follower count. And I mean, I have the lowest follower count of anybody that goes to Wellfest and speaks. And she said, I love that idea. So they put me on the list to speak. And by the time it came around in the May, and I remember this because my mom asked me, how many followers do you have now, Yvonne? And I was like, I think it was 1,400. And I was like 1,400. And part of me was like, oh, will people show up? I have a low follower number. And Roz Purcell, and I've said this before, was on at the same time. And that's when the fear and doubt started to kick in. I was like, oh shit, nobody's going to show up for me because Roz Purcell, who I met there, by the way, and embarrassed myself. Oh my God, that story. I'll have to tell you guys another day. But anyway, so remember that. And it's something that I always have to remember myself, that to not put so much focus on your follower count, because you could have a lower follower count and have such good engagement. So then what happened was I had 1,400 in May of 2023, and then I had 3,300 in May of 2024, and they asked me back. And they asked me back because it was such a good turnout in 2023, and it was packed again in 2024. But between May of 2024 and now, which is September 2024, I'm at 7,000 followers, right? So almost 7,000. So the jump has been quite big. And it really, really is about consistency. So I can visualize, I have this thing in my head that I'm visualizing my Instagram number at 1.4 million. I don't know why. I'm just being delusional. I think Gabrielle Bernstein has like 1.4, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good number to reach for. And what I actually do is, when I started, so I had went off social media totally and utterly. I was like, I am off this shit. I am not going on social media. After I had Penelope, I was going through such a tough time, and I didn't have pause penny exactly at the time. I had just started it, so I didn't need the social media yet. And I had 400 followers on my Instagram, so I had to build up and up. But what I did at 400 was, number one, when I had 400 followers, what I did was I acted like I had way more. So I would show up on video, on camera, as if I was talking to 1 million people. It didn't matter. I would show up anyway. And sometimes you feel really stupid doing that. You're like, I'm telling you what I'm doing in my day, and I've got 400 people following me, you know? But if you think about it, if you had 400 people in a room that you were speaking to, that would be a pretty large crowd, right? And then what I did was I was just consistent with posting, consistent on my stories. And what I would do is I would pick somebody that was a little bit ahead of me. So I remember there was this girl, and she was a yoga teacher, and I had 400 and she had 800 followers. And I was like, oh my God, imagine getting to 800. And then I got to 800 and I picked somebody who had 1,200. And I was like, wow, 1,200, that's my next. But I didn't focus on it. Like, I wasn't like looking at the number daily being like, go up, go up, go up. I was just like, that's kind of my goal now. I'm putting it out there. And in order to get there, I know I need to be consistent. And then when I got to 1,200, there was somebody at 1,800, and so on and so on. And I still do that, right? I still have somebody that's a little bit ahead of me that I'm trying to catch up to. And it's only for myself to like keep me going, keep taking the action. But one of the things that I have done that may be helpful for you if you're trying to grow your business and expand, and I have found that it's really helped mine, is if I have an Instagram reel that does quite well, and for me, well is getting like 120, 130 likes. So if I get something like that, I might, after a couple of days, I might boost it. So you boost the post to become like an ad, and I'll put like €5 a day behind it for like 2 weeks. So over a month, I'll spend maybe €140 on ad spend on Instagram. But what ultimately happens is people start following you because of that reel. And you have to remember that reel needs to relate to what you are and who you are and how you want to show up as a person. So if you're online and you want to sell something, you need to think to yourself, like, what do I want to be known for? So I'm not going to put an ad out there with me and my kids talking about mom life because I don't want to be known for mom life. Like I'm a mom, but like I want to be known for manifestation. So it'll be a manifestation reel. And then honestly, every single night I say a prayer, and this is to the baby that passed away. I always say, Polly, please put the people who need me, please send them to me, whatever way that is. Like, please send them to my Instagram page. Please help them find me. And I get messages all the time from people saying, I don't know how I came across you. I guarantee you it was probably one of the ads on Instagram, but I'm so glad I found you and you're just raising my vibe, or something like that. Or you're giving me a little bit of hope. So now to the business side of things, right? We all have to feel the fear and do it anyway. So there are times that I'm like with Pause Penny, oh, holy shit, what am I doing? Like, this is not for the faint-hearted, but you have to be consistent and keep taking the action, and someday you'll get your big break. I heard Rhonda Byrne from The Secret say that you need to write down all of your goals, and that focuses the brain. And I was like, yeah, it does. And that is why I created the Pause Penny manifestation box. If you want to manifest something in your life, get rid of the vision board and get your manifestation box, because you will write down what you want, and there are 7 steps. It is going to focus your mind and help you visualize. And I promise you this, what you create in your mind is far more powerful than anything on your vision board. So out with the vision board, in with the manifestation box, and grab it at pausepenny.com. Like last night, this is the truth, the whole truth. I was doing my VAT return, and you might think this is a good thing, but revenue owe me €82 when you have your VAT return. Anybody who knows anything about VAT returns know that if revenue owe you money, it means you've spent more money than you've made. So I am trying to break even every single month. So when I started Pause Penny, I was spending. And then what was happening was I was starting to catch up with my spending. It was starting to kind of be close, but I was still spending more than I made. And now I'm getting to a stage where I'm like, okay, my spending is almost equating to what I am making. Now remember, making isn't profits because you still have to take in the cost of the goods and all that. So I was a little bit disappointed last night, and I was like, oh shit, I'd rather honestly owe revenue because it means I'm making more, but it's okay. I have to tell myself, like, you are going to get there, but you just need to stay consistent. And that is key. So ask yourself, if you are trying to start a business or you're running your business, ask yourself the question, am I consistent in what I am doing? Like, if I need a social media presence to make sales, well, are you doing the reels? Are you on the stories? And you might think that it takes so much time and so much energy, but I actually can do things very, very quickly, and you need to make it part of your day. As an example, you know, I did a reel the other day and I was putting a face mask on because that's what I was doing. And then the next morning I was showing me taking it off. So that night when I was putting the face mask on, like, my hair was all over the place. And in the video, it was like, you know, you could see those jowls under your skin. And I was like, oh my God, I look hideous. And then I thought to myself, well, tough shit, Yvonne, because this is, number one, it's reality. And number two, you don't have the time to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 takes with amazing lighting, your hair brushed, and I don't know, your skin glowing. And so I don't have that kind of time. And then when I do a voiceover for a reel, I get I'll never really get it on the first go, but like I give myself max 3. And that is why my stuff is not perfect. It is not perfect, but I don't care because what is that phrase? Like, it's better to do it than have it perfect and not do it at all. I don't know if there is even a phrase, but effectively, I am not a perfectionist. I can't be a perfectionist. I don't have the time to be a perfectionist. And if I was a perfectionist, I'd get nothing done. I would have no reels on my social media because it would take me hours to do one. And I'm not a content creator. I'm a mom. I'm a podcaster. I'm a lawyer. I don't have the time to spend all day creating perfect content. And maybe you don't either. And that's okay. Be real. Be authentic. Sure, that's what's cool these days anyway, right? Nobody wants to see the perfection. They're like, oh my God, they're perfect skin. And it's not. I have bags under my eyes. I have my cousin came over to the house recently and she hasn't been in our house in a long time. Like a couple of years, probably 2 years. We've been in the house 5 years now. And she looked at me and she was like, I was like, just don't look at the mess around the house, like blah, blah. And she said, this house is really lived in now, Yvonne. And like what she's getting at is like, it's a mess. It's upside down. Like the walls need to be repainted because the kids are touching them. Like, and that is just, that's life, It's not perfect. I don't have these perfect kids' rooms. I don't have this perfect house. It's not perfection, but I'm totally okay with that. And I am not going to be one of these content creators that makes everything perfect to make the outside world think that my life is perfect before I shoot a video. No way. That is not me, and that is not my vibe, and that is not how I'm putting myself out to the world anyway. So a couple of things when you are working on your own business that might be helpful for you, how I manifest. So a couple of things that I do to manifest sales in my business is when a new order comes in on my email, it comes up as pause penny new order, pause penny new order. And what I'll do is I will visualize like a long list of new order, new order, new order, new order, new order. And like that's all I can see in my mindset. So like you need to be able to see this new order, new order, new order, new order, or however it comes up in your life, right? The second thing that you can do is I want you to feel the feelings of excitement of like making sales or somebody having your product or liking your page or starting to follow you. And one way that you can do that is look at somebody else's page that's just happened to. So I'm going to give you 2 examples. One of them is Anya Kennedy with the smooth stick, and Molly May used her product. If you watch Anya's video, she is like, the excitement is unbelievable. And what I do is I watch those videos and I feel the excitement as if like Sarah Blakely just got my product, or Jennifer Aniston, or Jim Carrey. And I'm like, oh my God. So you have to feel their excitement, let go of any jealousy or envy, use their excitement to your advantage. So you feel that excitement. Another one was The Bell Brush by Nancy Costello, when she talked about Nicola Coughlan, like just absolutely exploding the brush and the sales just absolutely exploding. Like I just felt that for me. Imagine if that happened to me. So those are the feelings that you have to bring in for yourself. And the third thing that you can do, a lot of people find it that their business isn't making money for them to pay themselves. But that doesn't mean in our delusional manifestation world that you can't pay yourself. You can absolutely pay yourself or pretend to pay yourself. What I would do is this. Every week, like on a Friday, have an envelope, and on the envelope put salary. And in the envelope put in either print off the pause penny manifestation check from the website and put in a number and put it in the envelope, or put something like a €5 bill into the envelope and pay yourself every week, even a tiny amount. But when you pay yourself and when you open that envelope, I want you to open it every week, every single week, every Friday or whatever day is your payday. Maybe you like Mondays, maybe you like Tuesdays, whatever day you want. I want you to open it as if you are receiving a massive amount of money. Like just open it and be like, oh my God, my first paycheck, or I'm so excited, I'm getting paid finally in my business. This is amazing. It's 5,000 euro. I don't know, whatever the amount that you want, pretend it is in that envelope, right? And feel those feelings of excitement. So those are your 3 tips, right? Number 1, visualize the orders coming in, the person following you on social media, the request from a sponsor or, someone at an event wanting you to speak. Visualize that coming through. And actually, this is something that I am going to do. I definitely want to be speaking again next year at Wellfest. So one of the things that I do a lot when I want something in my life, maybe you have business clients and it's online, I send myself an email as if it's from, say, that person. So like it can be from a client or it can be from Wellfest. So I'm going to send myself an email that's saying like, Dear Yvonne, we're getting ready for Wellfest in 2025. We just wanted to reach out to check your availability for May of next year. We really want you to be on the schedule again. I'm going to put in stuff like, you were amazing, really big myself up, and sign it off and send it to myself. Like, I'm sure most people have 2 email addresses. So just send it to yourself. Send the email to yourself, open up the email and smile and read it, right? And do that. You can do that with other clients. Like, let's say you have a business where it's coaching. Dear whoever, I would love to work with you. When can we get started? Can you let me know your pricing and your details, et cetera, whatever it is, and send that email to yourself and read it and feel it. Feel it as if it is going to happen for you. And remember this. I was watching Joe Wicks. He had a video on his Instagram and he had it on LinkedIn, and he talked about his 10-year overnight success. For anyone that wants to start a business or is in a business and is like, oh my God, this is hard work. Is it ever going to happen for me? The sales are low. It's hard. Whatever you're saying to yourself. I want you to go and watch that Joe Wicks video and put it on and watch how he stood outside this train station trying to get people to come to his fitness camps or his boot camps in the park. And sometimes 2 or 3 people would show up. Some days nobody would show up. But he didn't give up. Now he's headlining these massive events. He's got his own app. He's all over the place. But it was 10 years. Imagine where you can be in 10 years' time. Like I even recently, I was like, let's do a walkie-talkie coffee in Dublin, where I am. On a Thursday morning, we'll all go for a walk and we'll have a coffee afterwards. And one person showed up. But I was like, and actually, that person is a friend of mine. But she drove across the city and she went. And I was like, you know what? I'm still going to do this because it doesn't matter how many people show up because I'm going anyway. So that's it. Keep going. Visualize. Believe. A little bit of hustle. A little bit of action. And remember, the highs are high and the lows can be low. And you just got to push through those. But I hope those tips helped. And happy manifesting, queens. And see you next time.